My name is Amy M. Silva, and I was 28 years old when the man I loved looked me in the eyes at a crowded party and whispered that I was embarrassing him. Looking back, I should have seen it coming. The warning signs had been there for months. I simply kept choosing love over evidence. I met Liam 3 years earlier at a quiet backyard barbecue hosted by mutual friends. He was charismatic, confident, the kind of man who could make complete strangers laugh within minutes. I was different, a software developer who preferred hiking trails over rooftop parties, coffee shops over expensive clubs, and meaningful conversations over social media attention. Somehow, we worked. At least, I believed we did. 6 months after we started dating, Liam lost his marketing job during a round of company layoffs. Without hesitation, I covered nearly every household expense: rent, utilities, groceries. Whenever he apologized, I always answered the same way. We're a team. We'll figure it out together. And we did. Or at least, I did. I turned down an incredible promotion that would have required relocating because Liam insisted he wasn't ready to leave the city. Instead, I accepted freelance programming contracts at night to make up the difference. I barely slept, but I never complained. When his father needed surgery, I drove Liam to every hospital appointment. When his younger sister went through a painful divorce, I listened for hours while he worried about her. When he questioned his career, I rewrote resumes, practiced interviews with him, and reminded him that setbacks weren't failures. I thought supporting someone meant building a future together. Only later did I realize I had been carrying the future alone. Little changes began appearing, almost too small to notice. Liam became obsessed with appearances. He constantly compared us to glamorous couples online. "Look at these people," he'd say while scrolling through Instagram. "They're always traveling, always invited to exclusive events. They look alive." I usually smiled. I'd rather spend a weekend hiking than posing for pictures. He laughed, but eventually he stopped laughing. He started criticizing. "You never dress up anymore. You don't really know how to network. You could be more outgoing." Then Chloe returned, his ex-girlfriend. According to Liam, they had ended things years earlier because they wanted different futures. She recently joined his company as a senior account executive. Beautiful, confident, always surrounded by people. At first, I ignored the little comments. "It's only networking. She's just friendly. Don't overthink it." I believed him, because trust had always come naturally to me. Then our evenings changed. More company happy hours. More guys' nights. More weekends when he came home smelling like expensive cologne that wasn't his. Whenever I asked, he rolled his eyes. "Amy, stop being insecure." I wasn't insecure. I was paying attention. Still, I chose faith. I planned surprises, weekend trips, homemade dinners, movie nights, anything to remind us who we used to be. Nothing seemed to matter. Everything finally shattered during Sarah's house party. It was supposed to be simple, about 50 friends, music, food, string lights hanging across the backyard. Liam had talked about the event all week. "Everyone from work will be there. You'll finally meet the whole team." I thought it sounded fun. I arrived around 8. He had texted saying he was already there helping Sarah prepare. The moment I stepped through the front gate, I spotted him, standing beside Chloe. They were laughing together. His hand rested comfortably against her shoulder. When he noticed me approaching, his smile disappeared. "Amy?" He quickly walked toward me before I reached the group. "What are you doing here already?" I frowned. "You told me to meet you here." He glanced nervously toward Chloe, then lowered his voice. "Listen, can you do me a favor?" "Sure." "Don't talk to me tonight." I blinked. "What?" He sighed impatiently. "You're embarrassing." My coworkers are here. So is Chloe. I don't need you telling everyone stories about coding or hiking. You don't really fit this crowd. The words settled over me like ice water. I don't understand. I just need space. Please, just mingle. Don't stay near me. Then he smiled, not kindly, relieved, as though he had finally solved a problem. I stood perfectly still. Music echoed from the backyard. People laughed nearby. No one else noticed my world collapsing. After everything, after every sacrifice, every late-night freelance project, every bill, every promise, I had become embarrassing. I looked directly at him, then nodded. Deal. He smiled. Thanks. Without another word, he walked back toward Chloe, laughing again before he even reached her. I quietly turned around, walked back through the front gate, got into my car, and drove away. An hour later, my phone vibrated. Liam. Where did you go? Come back. The party's getting good. I pulled into an empty parking lot, read the message twice, then answered. Somewhere I'm not embarrassing. I pressed send, blocked his number, and drove into the night knowing, even if I hadn't admitted it yet, our relationship had already ended. The next morning felt strangely peaceful, not because the pain had disappeared, because the decision already had. I didn't unblock Liam. I didn't wait for explanations. I didn't call mutual friends, hoping someone would convince me I had misunderstood what happened. There was nothing to misunderstand. He had looked me in the eyes and decided I was someone he didn't want standing beside him. That was enough. Instead of replaying the party over and over, I focused on practical things. Our apartment lease carried both our names, but nearly every utility bill came from my account. While Liam spent another day at work, I quietly packed everything that belonged to me: clothes, books, my computer, family photographs, the framed degree my parents proudly gave me after graduation. I left every item that belonged to him exactly where it had always been. No angry notes, no broken dishes, no dramatic goodbye. By evening, I checked into a small extended-stay hotel on the other side of town. The mattress was uncomfortable. The room smelled faintly of detergent and old carpet. But for the first time in months, I wasn't waiting for someone to come home and make me feel small. Work became my refuge. I accepted every difficult assignment available. Finally completed the professional certification I had postponed because Liam always needed something more important. After work, I started going to the gym. Nothing extreme, just consistency. An hour every evening. Enough to clear my head. Sometimes memories interrupted anyway. Driving through heavy rain to pick Liam up after company dinners. Cooking his favorite pasta after stressful interviews. Listening while he vented about coworkers for hours. Remembering every birthday, every anniversary, every little detail that made him smile. Looking back, I realized something painful. I had spent years learning everything about him. He had spent years teaching me to ignore myself. Almost a month passed before anyone mentioned the party again. Sarah sent a message. Hey, are you and Liam okay? He said you left early. I answered politely. I just wasn't feeling well. She apologized for asking. I changed the subject. I refused to turn mutual friends into judges. Whatever happened between Liam and me belonged to us. Even if he hadn't protected my dignity, I would protect my own. A few weeks later, I found a small apartment downtown. Nothing luxurious. One bedroom, large windows, walking distance from the office. I furnished it slowly. A comfortable sofa, a bookshelf, several green plants. Everything felt intentionally simple. There were no memories trapped inside those walls, only possibilities. I also returned to hobbies I had quietly abandoned: weekend hiking, reading science fiction, attending software meetups. There, I met people who cared more about ideas than appearances. No one asked what designer clothes I wore. No one cared how many followers I had. Conversations felt real again. One evening, after a meetup, a coworker named Daniel invited several of us out for coffee. He was thoughtful, funny, never interrupted people. When I mentioned hiking, he became genuinely interested instead of dismissing it as boring. It reminded me that kindness still existed. Not every relationship demanded constant performance. About 2 months after the party, Mike invited me out for coffee. He looked uncomfortable from the moment we sat down. I wasn't sure whether I should tell you. You don't have to. I think you deserve to know. I nodded quietly. Liam and Chloe are officially together. The sentence hurt, more than I expected. Not because I wanted him back, because it confirmed what I had suspected all along. The emotional affair had started long before the party, maybe months, maybe longer. I stirred my coffee slowly. I hope they're happy. Mike looked surprised. That's all? What else should I say? He shrugged. I thought you'd be angry. I was. Now I'm tired. He leaned forward. Honestly, I don't think things are going as well as they pretend. I raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Chloe's different. She argues with Liam constantly. They've broken up twice already. People at work say she flirts with almost every salesman. I listened quietly. No satisfaction, no excitement, only confirmation. People who chase constant excitement usually become bored by stability. Sooner or later, they become bored with each other too. That same week, another piece of good news arrived. The promotion I had declined the previous year reopened after another manager transferred. This time, I accepted immediately. Higher salary, flexible remote schedule, leadership responsibilities. I celebrated alone by driving into the mountains for the weekend. Standing on a quiet overlook, breathing cold autumn air, I finally realized something. The party hadn't ruined my life. It had interrupted the wrong future. As I watched the sunset disappear behind distant peaks, I whispered something I hadn't believed possible only weeks earlier. Thank you. Not to Liam, not to Chloe, to the woman who quietly walked away instead of begging someone to stay. Because every step since that night had led me somewhere better. 3 months after I walked away from Sarah's party, the first real crack in Liam's new life finally appeared. I wasn't looking for updates. I had stopped checking mutual friends' social media weeks earlier. Peace had become a habit. Then Mike called. Coffee after work? When we sat down, he looked strangely uncomfortable. I wasn't sure whether to tell you. You don't have to. I know. But Liam's falling apart. I simply waited. Things with Chloe are a disaster. She controls everything. Checks his phone. Starts arguments over nothing. And she's cheating. I stirred my coffee without saying a word. Apparently, everyone at work knows except Liam. Mike sighed. Now he knows too. Again, silence. You don't seem surprised. I'm not. The relationship started with betrayal. It was never going to be built on trust. Mike nodded slowly. She's asking about you. I looked up. Who? Liam. He keeps wondering if you're seeing someone. I smiled faintly. That's no longer his concern. A week later, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost ignored it. Something told me exactly who it was. Hello? Amy? Liam. His voice sounded smaller than I remembered. I know you're probably going to hang up. What do you want? A long pause followed. I made a mistake. No, not, I hurt you. Not, I'm sorry. Only, I made a mistake. I leaned against my kitchen counter. So? Chloe isn't who I thought she was. I know. He sounded confused. You know? I don't need details. What happened isn't my business. He inhaled shakily. I miss you. The apartment feels empty. I keep thinking about movie nights, our hikes, the dinners you made. I miss us. His words almost sounded sincere. Almost. But they arrived months too late. You don't miss me. He hesitated. You miss being loved without conditions. Silence. Then he whispered, maybe. That honesty surprised me, but it didn't change anything. I hope you figure your life out. Amy. No. I ended the call, blocked the number, and went back to cooking dinner. 2 weeks later, another number appeared. This time it wasn't Liam. Amy? The woman's voice sounded familiar. Tara, Liam's older sister. I thought we should talk. I'm not interested. You should hear me out. Against my better judgment, I did. Liam's depressed. He barely sleeps. He lost 15 pounds. He keeps blaming himself. I'm sorry he's struggling. Then help him. I actually laughed. You can't be serious. He needs you. No. He needs accountability. Her tone immediately changed. People make mistakes. So do you. Maybe you weren't exciting enough. There it is. What? The real reason you called. You don't actually think I owe him anything. You just want someone else to solve his problems. She became defensive. You loved him. I did. And he chose Chloe. Now he regrets it. So? Amy. Forgiveness is what good people do. I looked out the apartment window toward the Denver skyline. Forgiveness and reconciliation aren't the same thing. I've forgiven him. I simply refuse to become his future. She had no response. The call ended quietly. Life continued. Work became even better. Daniel and I started spending more time together. What began as coffee after software meetups slowly turned into dinners, weekend hikes, long conversations that lasted until midnight. He never asked me to become someone else, never compared me to anyone, never made me feel like I had to compete for basic respect. One Friday evening, we walked along the river after dinner. You've been hurt before, he said it gently. Yes. You don't have to tell me everything. I know. But thank you, he smiled. I just want you to know. I'm not interested in drama. I prefer peace. I laughed. So do I. For the first time in years, peace sounded exciting, not boring, not predictable, comfortable, healthy, real. Then everything escalated. Late one Saturday morning, someone knocked on my apartment door. I checked the peephole. Liam, standing beside Tara. Neither of them had been invited. I opened the door only a few inches. What are you doing here? Liam looked exhausted. Dark circles beneath his eyes, wrinkled clothes. None of the confidence he once carried remained. Please. Can we talk? No. I drove 6 hours. I'm sorry you wasted the trip. He stepped forward instinctively. I just need 5 minutes. You already had 3 years. Tara crossed her arms. Amy, stop being stubborn. He said he's sorry. What more do you want? I looked directly at her. Respect. Liam's shoulders slumped. I know I failed. I know I hurt you. I'll do anything. We can start over. I'll leave Chloe. I already did. I'll go to therapy. I'll move wherever you want. I'll prove myself. His desperation was genuine. So was my answer. No. His face fell. You won't even try? I already did. For 3 years. You stopped trying. I didn't. You chose someone else. His eyes filled with tears. I was stupid. Yes. I was selfish. Yes. But people change. They can. But change doesn't erase consequences. For several seconds, no one spoke. Then something shifted inside him. The desperation disappeared. Frustration replaced it. So that's it? You're really throwing everything away? I smiled sadly. No, Liam. I'm protecting everything I've rebuilt. I gently closed the door, locked it, and leaned against it for a moment. My heart raced, not because I doubted my decision, because I realized something important. The woman who had left Sarah's party feeling humiliated would have opened that door. The woman standing there now finally understood her own worth. 6 months after Sarah's party, another invitation arrived. Sarah was getting married. Ironically, the same woman whose party had quietly ended my relationship was now beginning her own marriage. For a moment, I considered declining. Too many memories, too many familiar faces. Daniel noticed the invitation lying on my kitchen counter. You don't have to go. I know. But maybe I should. Only if you're going for yourself. I smiled. I am. The wedding took place at a beautiful garden venue just outside the city. Warm lights hung between old oak trees. Soft music floated through the evening air. Everything felt peaceful, very different from the last party I had attended with Liam. Daniel squeezed my hand as we entered. You okay? I've never been better. About 20 minutes later, I saw Liam, standing alone near the bar. He looked thinner, older somehow, not because of age, because regret had become part of him. When our eyes met, he froze, then slowly walked toward us. Amy. His voice barely carried above the music. Can we talk? Daniel looked at me. It's your decision. I nodded. I'll be right back. We stepped a few feet away, beneath a row of string lights. Liam looked at me for several seconds before speaking. You look happy. I am. He lowered his eyes. I've spent months thinking about everything. I finally understand what I destroyed. I remained quiet. Chloe left. I lost my job. Most of my friends stopped calling. I've been in therapy. I was forced to admit something. He swallowed hard. I never appreciated what I had until it was gone. There was no anger left inside me, only distance. I know. I don't expect forgiveness. I already forgave you. His head lifted immediately. You did? Forgiveness isn't the same as another chance. Hope briefly appeared in his face, then disappeared. I've changed. I'm sure you have. I'd spend the rest of my life proving it. I smiled gently. You don't have to prove anything to me anymore. I still love you. The words hung between us. Months earlier, they would have shattered me. Now, they barely touched me. Liam, I don't hate you. I don't resent you. I simply stopped carrying you. His eyes filled with tears. I thought time might fix this. It did. But not the way you expected. Guests nearby laughed as Sarah and her new husband shared their first dance. Life continued around us, exactly as it should. You once told me I embarrassed you. He closed his eyes. I remember. I remember every word. I've replayed that night 1,000 times. I wish I could take it back. You can't. I know. I glanced across the lawn where Daniel stood talking comfortably with several guests. He noticed me looking, smiled, and simply waited. No jealousy, no pressure, just trust. I turned back toward Liam. Do you know what hurt the most? What? It wasn't losing you. It was realizing I had spent 3 years trying to become enough for someone who had already decided I wasn't. A tear rolled down his face. I'm sorry. I believe you. Then, can we at least be friends? I shook my head slowly. No. Not because I hate you. Because I've finally built a peaceful life. And some doors should stay closed. He nodded. For the first time, he didn't argue. I understand. I hope someday you're as happy as you deserve to be. I already am. I walked back toward Daniel. Without hesitation, he reached for my hand. You okay? I smiled. Better than okay. As the band started another song, we joined everyone else on the dance floor. I never looked back. Not because I was trying to be strong, because there was nothing left behind worth looking at. Months later, Daniel proposed during a sunrise hike overlooking the mountains. There were no expensive photographers, no audience, just the two of us standing above the clouds. Will you marry me? Yes. The answer came effortlessly. Not because love had become easier, because trust no longer required convincing. My name is Amy M. Silva. The night my boyfriend told me I was embarrassing, I believed my world had ended. In reality, it was the first day I stopped shrinking myself to fit someone else's expectations. Walking away with dignity wasn't revenge. Watching karma unfold wasn't victory. The greatest victory was discovering that peace feels far better than proving someone wrong. Sometimes the people who leave you behind only make room for the life you were always meant to build.